That's what my parents used to
Yeah,
say.
that's a valid.
I think
Yeah,
that's
that's not
so
true.
adorable.
Yeah, no, she's absolutely.
I have no idea, so I just said to Gloria, I couldn't find my watch.
You know,
I didn't want to
yeah.
bring my phone.
You know, but she
so.
struggles to take
Did
long
everybody
naps
sign in here?
because Darlene doing it
Yeah.
is making noises and
17.
loud ones. And she was playing a game.
How's the new baby doing, Carrie?
Maria's 3 now. And
oh, Mary's baby?
Yeah.
She's the baby sister. And Kira's the baby sister.
Coming down for Thanksgiving?
You know, so she was.
Yes. Yep, they'll be here for Thanksgiving, and then my sister. Yeah,
She wants you to hold it in your bottle.
No, she was just doing stuff and just claiming it.
Wow,
and
nice.
Kind of having to like help her. Hey, Maria, we can't pretend. Nice.
It's almost perfect.
She, just because you want to pretend, she cannot actually, you know,
Get up.
roll. Well, she was just funny.
Alright, so I guess we're gonna go ahead and get started. I kind of figured not too many people were gonna venture out in the cold. It's been kind of gross. I think most of you know me. I'm Carrie. And I am going to talk tonight about the American Legion Post 1764, which is the Susquehanna Trails Post here in Conesville. I had hoped that we would have some of the post members here because I wanted to open it up and ask for them to share their memories and their feelings on the post and what being the Legion means to them. I also don't see them here, but it's dark and cold.
Oops.
So I think there are a couple auxiliary members, so I may open it up and ask you guys if you have anything
Look
that
behind
you
your
want to
eye.
share. So, all right. Oh, I figured out
This is
this
about
button work.
Oh, that's cute.
Yay. So the American Legion was chartered by Congress in 1919 as a patriotic veteran organization focusing on service of veterans, service members, and communities. The Legion evolved from a group of war-weary veterans, the war-weary veterans of World War I, into the most influential nonprofit group in the United States. Membership swiftly grew to over 1 million, and local posts sprang up across the country. Today, membership stands at over 1.6 million and in more than 12,000 posts worldwide. The posts were organized into 55 departments, one each of the 50 states, along with the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, France, Latin America, and the Philippines. Over the years, the Legion has built its identity by achieving hundreds of benefits and services for veterans, supporting the U.S. Armed Forces and instilling values of responsible citizenship among young people. From the nation charging of the National Legion, a GI Bill was drafted for relief for veterans exposed to toxic contamination in the service, and veterans of the American Legion have worked for a century to improve and strengthen the nation it swore to defend. So the Conesville American Legion, particularly the Susquehanna Trails Post, number 1764, signed their constitution and charter documents on the 17th of August, 1949. It initially stated in the Constitution that the meeting would be held at Conesville Town Hall on the first Wednesday of the month, and that there needed to be a minimum of 5 members present to constitute a quorum. So up here you can see the cover and the back page. I do have copies of the Constitution up here in the folder if you want to look at them afterward.
I apologize for Lucy. She's snoring.
Oh, that does not bother me. We love Lucy.
It's
She
rude.
can snore all she wants. It's
So rude.
So as we know, bureaucracy is a thing, and although the documents were signed in 1949, the Susquehanna Trails Post did not receive their confirmation as being accepted into the American Legion until January 31st, 1952.
Whoa.
I don't know if that was because there were so many posts registering at that time, or if they were just really slow. I don't know. But the document on the left is signed by Maurice Stember, the department adjutant, and the one on the right is signed by Samuel Rinbaum, who was the department judge advocate at the time. So based on the membership numbers today, the number of 5 might seem a little high, although I was not able to find rosters for other years, one of which showed 52 members. And right now, I want to say we probably have 15 or 20 that are listed, but maybe 3 or 4 show up. A lot of people have moved south. Maybe out in Arizona.
Yes.
So, this roster in the picture did not have a year on it. However, there are some names that will probably sound familiar. One was Vernon Bailey. There are several Brainards on there. Ross Buell, Frank Costa, Robert Dowlish. There's a few Haskins and Merwins and Strikers on there as well. I do have some documents up here, and actually this folder right here is the rosters from the mid to late 90s all the way up to 2014. So if you want to go through that and try and find names that you recognize, please feel free to do so. Just be careful, paper is, old picture paper. Something that I thought was really kind of cool in that folder particularly is that there are different keys, and these are 3 pictures of some of the keys. And as you're looking at the names, you'll see a year number, and that's the number of years that they have been in the Legion, and then their name, and then the years of service. But as you go over, you'll see like alphanumeric codes. So a 1 stood for they served in World War I, a 2, World War II, a 4, Korea, 8, Vietnam, G was Lebanon and Grenada, H is Panama, S, Persian Gulf, and T is Merchant Marines from World War II. There were other codes in there as well to indicate their status in the Legion. If you ever talk to Irene Hess and you hear her use the term puffle, that just means paid up for life, right? They're a lifetime member of them, puffle. So that was the first time she said that at our meeting, I was like, what is she talking about? What's a puffle? And I'm thinking like puffles. Easy. So using that key, we can look at these pages, right? And we can see that Milt Engel, I don't know how many of you remember Milt, and Robert Dowlish were veterans of World War II. Robert Dancher would have been a Vietnam veteran. So this, again, is one of the items that you can look at after you complete the talk. So I also found, Facebook. Hold on, let me mute that. Sorry. I also found a schedule of which towns would hold the position of county commander from the year of 1961 to 1988. So, hold on, let me. The far right column is Conesville, and you can see that there are 3 X's on there, indicating that Conesville at that time had 3 county commanders. So they, at that time, had a schedule that would go from like town to town every year. I think now they just put it up for a vote because I know Myron was the county commander for like 15 years, and then he stepped back for a couple of years and then took it again. So I think that particular element of the Legion overall has changed, but at one point they did try to make sure everybody had an equal chance at holding that position. I also found a list of county commanders in Schoharie County from 1919 to, which is of course when the overall Legion was started, and all the way to 1991. The individuals that held the county commander position that were from Conesville were Vernon Lord, James Anderson, and Albert Jones. Vernon Lord was the county commissioner from 1955 to 1966. James Anderson, 1974 to 1975, and Albert Jones, 1980 to 1981. Daniel O'Brien was the 3rd district commander for the state of New York from 1972 to 1973. Over the years, the Susquehanna Trails Post received a number of awards and letters of recognition, several of which are here on the table. That is the one thing that I found in overabundance of in the cabinet. There is just like, I don't know, half a shelf of framed certificates. The 2 that are pictured here were not dated, but were for Scouter of the Year and meeting the standards of scouting programs and services. So something to note on here is that it's signed by the adjutant, the deputy commander, and the chair for the Boy Scout committee. While I was going through stuff, I found all sorts of random things that said Boy Scouts on them, right? I found like a card that said, Boy Scouts of America. At the time, it really wasn't uncommon for the Legion and the Boy Scouts to pair up. In 1919, the Legion started working closely with the Scouts, and then in 1935, partly due to that close relationship with the Scouts, they began what was known as Boys State. The auxiliary has Girls State. Kim, were you Girls State?
No.
No? Okay. I didn't have any info on who we had put up for Girls State.
Was Carrie?
No, I think it was Phoebe.
Okay. So for those that aren't familiar, Boys State, Girls State, basically they pick a community member. Similarly, it goes, throughout the county. Each post will get a chance every couple of years to select someone. I think it's 2 per county maybe. And at that time, the young people, if they accept the nomination, would go to Albany and spend like several days a week alongside with legislators and leaders in Albany, learning about how government works and learning about leadership and leadership qualities. And it was a way that the Legion could invest in young people, and it would look good on college applications, and just their way of trying to build into the community. So over the years, Conesville has had the opportunity to sponsor a few attendees, and I believe the most recent person that we sent was Miles Norway. And I think that was 2 years ago maybe. And another name that I think most of you would recognize that is an alumni of Boy State would be Travis Castle, who is our sewer district operator. And I think both of them would probably have positive things to say about the program if you were to ask them about it.
We've sent 2 girls last year and 2 the year before too, I think.
Do you remember who they were?
Last year was Manya
Oh, okay.
Cadimo and Barry, Alexa Barry.
Okay.
And before that it was,
They were impressive.
it was, her father had the Blenheim farm, Graham. I can't think of her first name though. Larkin.
Yeah, probably Larkin.
And the other girl, I can't remember her name, but they were all very excited and learned a lot.
See, and I didn't know who all had gone for the Girls State, but that's awesome. I'm glad they had that opportunity. So I asked for pictures. Thank you, Lori. Lori Mattice had a few photos that she shared. The back of this one said that this is Larry Mattice and Randy Tim. Was Randy a little one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that Helen's?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. They used to dress up and march in parades and stuff, but Carrie probably doesn't.
And these were a couple of other photos that Lori had, and I'm sure I don't think these ones did not have writing on the back.
There was Willie Latta, my dad, Rudy Tim, Raymond Gregory, I think his name was, and I don't know who the 5th one was.
Is that over in Prattsville?
I don't know.
I was looking at it trying to figure it out.
It was in like the, let's see, 60s.
Yeah, that's a long time.
And then this was the other
Oh,
photo.
there's the names.
Yeah, this one
It's the
says,
same people.
yeah.
Oh, middle one, question mark.
But I don't know, I liked this one because it had like the little guys in there with
Yeah.
the vets. And I'm gonna need some help if anybody knows who these other people are, because I found exactly one photo in the cabinet at the town hall. And it said on the back that this picture was taken at an annual birthday dinner March 17th at the Waterfall House, but there was no name, there was no year on it, I'm gonna guess 60s.
I was gonna say, we might be able to match it with the names in the book, because that's what I started to do. That's why it's on that page. I went back as far as I could, but some of the people I recognize in there.
And the photo was taken by Costa Studios. So other than that, I don't have any information on this photo. It did say it was at the Waterfall House, and I was like, oh, cool, because I don't think I ever saw the inside of it. And if I did, it definitely didn't look like that. But I really don't think I did. And I have one more slide, and that was because this is a picture I took, so I had it. You all knew Al. He was our post commander for over 20 years. Couple breaks in there, I think, but always seemed to come back to him. He was kind of the glue that held us together. This was taken at the Lowell School Veterans Day Assembly in 2022. And I wanted to include it because Al was a really big believer in the impact you had on kids. He was a Boy Scout leader for years. He was also really involved in the fire department when he was here. But this was like one of his favorite events of the year. He would talk about it all the time. Oh, we got to go. It's for the kids. It's for the kids. And you know, he would talk about when he would dress up like the Easter Bunny and go to school, when Santa Claus would go to school. So I wanted to include this picture because to me it felt like a great photo to use. And we miss out a lot. And like I said, that is the shortest presentation we've ever had. Any questions?
Definitely, definitely. Tell us about you, Carrie. What made you go in? How long did you serve? What did you see?
Okay. Yeah, I did say I was going to open it up for people to talk about their experience with religion. I guess I probably should have started when I was up there. So I joined the Navy. Actually, I'm just going to go back to Al. I joined the Navy in 2005, but I didn't leave for boot camp until 2006. And one of the first letters I got when I was in boot camp was a letter from, I don't remember if it was dad or mom, saying that Al has pulled in the driveway with a service star flag to hang in the window. Because he had been notified by Max that somebody from Conesville had joined. And actually, if you're ever in the town hall on the file cabinets, I tried taking a picture of it, but the glare from the lights was terrible. You'll see a big shadow box. That was built by the Cornell boys as a thank you to the Legion and the auxiliary. And there's a letter in there and a flag and a photo. But when they were deployed, the Legion hosts, stepped up and, I think sent their kids to Zoom Bloom or something. I don't remember exactly, but it's in the letter. And then there's a photo also of, actually I should have brought that over, of, I think it was the auxiliary picnic. And so, it's always been a close-knit town. So, for me, I think, I don't know, there was a lot of reasons that I joined. When I was just out at the EMS conference, and Carl asked, because we were talking about Dave Yates, who was our EMS instructor, he was out there and he was like, oh, have you guys ever been to Ground Zero? Have you been to the 9/11 Memorial? And I was just like, I can't do it. Like, I lost it at the State Museum when I came around the corner to that exhibit because I didn't know it was there. And Carl said, well, how many of you remember exactly where you were? And I know, we hear that question a lot. Yeah, we do, right? I was sitting in the living room doing my schoolwork with my headphones on at my desk, and my grandma downstairs kept calling upstairs, and my mom's mom was there, and she's like, not right now, Ruth, we're not turning on the radio right now. She kept hanging up. Well, I had my headphones in, so I just switched it over to WGY. And then I just unplugged it. And I very clearly remember my grandfather standing next to me. He was a Marine, my mom's dad. My dad's dad was already passed at this time, he was Army. But I remember this giant man, he's 6'2", I don't know if any of you remember him, but he just kind of stood there with his arm holding up against the wall, just sobbing. So obviously I was 16 when that happened, so I couldn't quite run off and join then. I didn't think that it'd take me. I could try to lie about my age, but I think there was too much paperwork, right? It wasn't like during the Revolutionary War or the Civil War where you could just make up an age and go, yep, I'm old enough. So yeah, I think that's kind of the there's usually two scholarships given out every year from the Sutton Trails Post. They do Boys State, the auxiliary does Girls State, so they're still finding ways to be involved in a limited capacity. But if you know a younger veteran, please send them our way.
Or his wife.
Say it.
Or his wife to the ladies.
Yeah, that too. Or vice versa. Like,
Right.
Legion has a lot of female members now, right? I think in our post, we're not a lot, it's just Jerry and Tyson. But, you know, now I think the auxiliary has kind of branched out and started taking, you know, husbands and kids and
Anybody who wants to help.
anybody who wants to help, exactly. But I think that for me, the Legion kind of reflects a lot of those values that are important to me about community and, you know, just being a part of something bigger. Yeah, so what about our auxiliary members? Do they have any things they would like to share?
Well, I guess I'm still an auxiliary member, although I don't get to the meetings, but, I'm 77 now, but yet something that my mother and father kind of drummed into my head, and not really drummed in a bad sense, but like we all remember 9/11 and where we were, and my mother would always say to me, you know, on December 7th, do you know what today is? And then she'd go through this whole thing about where she was when she heard about, you know, and it wasn't with pride, it was with memories, you know, sad memories like we have of 9/11, she had of December 7th. So they would always talk about that, you know, a lot.
Well, I think that was something that was also kind of influential for me was, you know, my mom, her dad was a Marine, but he didn't raise my mom. Her great-grandparents, or her grandparents, my great-grandparents raised her. Poppy was Navy during World War II. My dad's dad was Army. Like, and on my dad's side, all the way back to the Revolution, we had 2 Civil War vets permanently buried over in New England. So that service was always kind of a big thing, but I very clearly remember, like, Memorial Day parades and things. And it didn't matter, like, they were using walkers. They were on their feet, their hats were off. Like, there was just such a respect for the other people that served. I would go places with my grandpa and take him up to the VA or we'd be in Walmart, it didn't matter. Absolute stranger would walk up and be like, hey, Dylan, how's it going? You know, they knew each other, even though they didn't know each other. You know, there was that sense of community there. But I think, you know, being homeschooled, maybe I didn't have the school community, right? But I had other things. I had a grandmother that would take us on random field trips. And so for me, one of the field trips that stood out the most was going down to the FDR Museum and Library, right? And somewhere I still have the binder. Like, I bought all these press photos of FDR giving speeches, and, you know, I bought a CD recording of his speech after D-Day. And I think that that was something that also was pretty influential there. Even decades later.
And a last thought about Al Hess, who I knew quite well. And I remember when I was town supervisor, you always start the meeting off with the Pledge of Allegiance. And this one particular night, it was rather poorly attended, so there weren't too many of us there. And the pledge was kind of weak, you know, for whatever reasons. People were distracted, they just whatever. And all of a sudden, Al, when it was finished, he goes, and let's start again like we mean it. And I turned and I looked and I said, okay, Al. And he started that Pledge of Allegiance over again with great gusto.
Everybody in the room.
Yes, yes.
And you didn't pause at
Yeah.
a certain point.
Right.
Just kind of off the tongue.
Yeah. Did anybody else have any memories or thoughts on the Legion or the auxiliary? No? All right, well, there's some rosters up here if you want to come take a look, some other items.
grab a snack.